Hello, everybody. Hello, Joy. Joy Arden is a landscape curator at Bayard Cutting Arboretum, where she's dedicated over a decade to the stewardship of its diverse tree collections. With a Master of Science degree in sustainability management, specializing in GIS technologies from the New School, Joy expertly navigates the intersection of technology and nature. Joy has become a key partner in managing the Arboretum's extensive tree collection, ensuring that each specimen thrives. Joy's commitment to conservation extends beyond the Arboretum as she actively collaborates with organizations like New York Hortus, ArbNet, Botanic Gardens Conservation International, and the Holly Society of America. And through her work, she champions the importance of living collections, inspiring others to embrace sustainable and diverse landscapes. So please welcome Joy.
I'm gonna mute myself. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Yep. Wonderful. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate LIISMA and all of the work that you do. The last week or so, I've been just having so much fun roaming through your website. There's tons of wonderful information, so I appreciate that. So let's get into it. So if you don't, trying to, there we go. If you don't know, Bayard Cutting Arboretum is in Suffolk County, Great River, New York, which is located right by East Islip. 691 acres. I would say about 250 of those are cultivated, and the rest are wooded trails. And we have a very diverse landscape. We have a beautiful coastline following the Connecticut River, which kind of attaches us to our sister park, Connecticut State Park. We are historical. Our tree collections began in 1886. It was an Olmsted design, and that included collecting trees from all over the world, but also using the native species that we had here. We have extensive tree collections. We are a level 4 arboretum. There's only 45 accredited in the world. We have a CSA farm, tons of native plantings, and like I said, hiking trails. So when I was thinking about the invasive threats to our landscape, we have two like sectors. I'd say the threats to our tree collections and then the general threats to our landscape. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at the threats we are seeing to our trees first and how we deal with that. Beginning with hemlock woolly adelgid, which I'm sure everyone is aware of by this point. We have gorgeous hemlocks that date back to the very, very early 1900s. And being a living collection, we really try to keep these as healthy as possible. We do annual treatments on our historic specimens. We also have not introduced any more hemlocks, understanding that just the cost and the need to do these treatments is a bit much. So it's really about protecting what we have historically. And we do annual monitoring. And it's a great learning tool. It's very, very easy to see. So when we have interns and things like that, they can immediately understand what hemlock woolly adelgid is. Next, also everyone I'm sure is familiar with is a southern pine beetle. We were luckily not too devastated by this. Like our main collection was okay, but we have again tons of natural areas that did unfortunately see a ton of devastation. In 2017, we were awarded a grant by the DEC, $60,000 to properly remove the infected trees, replant with native saplings, and now once a year we scout and we make sure that it's not a continuous issue. And we've been really pleased with the outcome. We haven't had any more difficulties with southern pine beetle, fortunately, and the saplings have been doing great. It's a great tool to understand that you can just replant, and as long as you keep your annual scouting, I think it's okay. Let's see. Ah, so this is one of our newest things that we're dealing with, the beech leaf disease nematode. Um, Quite scary. If you have been to Bayard Cutting Arboretum, I'm sure you've seen the photo on the bottom. We have gorgeous specimens from the early 1900s. This particular European weeping beech you can walk underneath, and we have our beech hedge from the 30s and just really old specimens. I'm sorry if you hear my son in the background, by the way. Um, so we have incredibly old specimens that already have some issues and problems. And then when beech leaf disease came in, it just compounded. So we are seeing really scary things out in the field. Luckily, we caught it extremely quickly. We were one of the first to find it on the island. We had ArborJet and Bartlett Tree donate their services to trial different treatments. And trialing was dependent on the size of the tree, the age of the tree, what the issues were. And this happened at all different types of year. And we're still trying to figure out the best time to treat these trees. Um, so we're doing semi-annual scouting. We're also, every year we host something called Beech Leaf Disease Day, where we have our interns spend the day scouting, reporting, and just learning all about beech leaf disease. So hopefully they can bring that information to the next place that they go to, right? We're sharing this data with institutions all over the world. And unfortunately, right now, we've had to do some safety removals. Just the really older specimens that have that compounded issues, unfortunately. But we have stopped planting beeches for now, and we're hoping in the future that we'll have some sort of way to treat these, right? They're gorgeous trees. They're part of our landscape, and it would be just a shame to see them go. These photos are really intense too. They're taken by Heather Costi, and you'll see most of these photos are hers. So just wanted to thank Heather again. So moving on to some common invasives that we have. So this is not necessarily dealing with our trees, but things that we're seeing in our landscape. And we are diligent on hand removing these. It's almost all mechanical. Due to being a state park, we, avoid using as many chemicals as possible. So we have the yellow flag iris, the honeysuckle, English ivy, which I think people forget, but especially in a historic landscape, we are removing English ivy all of the time. A pretty easy thing to remove, but it does take time and annually repeating the process. Garlic mustard, mugwort, which is the bane of my existence, and mile a minute. So we see that in the landscape, but we also have this beautiful coastline and over a mile of coastlines, and we have different pockets of interest along the way. So we have the river walk that follows the Connecticut River. We have Breezy Island, which is a native planting. We have Friendship, which is a native planting. Paradise Island, which is kind of a nature walk through a forest of sorts. And we have our woodland garden that has freshwater ponds. So we are dealing with brackish water, freshwater, river, underground streams. It runs the gamut. And over the last 10 years or so, we've seen a huge significant burden of storms and flooding, just really wrecking our coastline. We've had to adjust what we're planting. We've had to adjust our paths. And just the way that we think about how we're going into the future, treating our coastlines. And this leads to, of course, invasives, right? Like it's just bringing in more invasives with all of that flooding. So this is just like a project that I thought we could focus on today because it's in the works right now. It's a multi-year project. It's the Friendship Garden, which is at the base of the Great Lawn, overlooking Connecticut River. And so it was planted in the 70s with mostly azaleas. And now that we see our coastline changing, we're seeing a little bit more wetness, there's dry spots. It's kind of become a disaster. So we hired Garden Environmentals. It was Martha Weller. She helped design a new type of landscape for this garden. This happened in 2022. And you can see in her design, there's different areas that are getting mixes that can handle those soil conditions. And within those little bits and pieces of the garden, we are dealing with different types of invasives. The main one, obviously, is Phragmites. Frag, we have little pockets throughout the Arboretum, and over the last 10 years, we've been very, very diligent in removing them. We have been working with the DEC. We have the proper permits to do all of this work. We refer to local experts. We've been doing manual and mechanical with spading, some wicking, but we try to limit it as much as possible, cutting in the late summer, replanting with natives, which is actually really, really important for what we do, and monitoring. Uh, this is a really, really tough plant, and we're still learning. We're still learning about exactly what works best for us and our staff. So it's a combination. We use Arboretum horticulturists. We have wonderful interns. We usually hire around 6 every summer, and volunteer groups. We would be nothing without all of these people. I'm sure many of you understand that. All of this work has to happen annually and continually. We can't just remove invasives once. Oftentimes you have to go back. And that's an important part of the process that we understand. And while it may be difficult to continue that, we make it a priority. So what's great is that we are removing these invasives, and instead of just leaving it bare, we are replanting with natives. Inkberry, which is probably one of my favorites right now. Milkweed, of course. The native iris, which is gorgeous. Goldenrod, cinnamon fern. This is like a very small list. We've added hundreds and hundreds of different types of natives, depending on the soil type. But what's cool is that we also give enough space to see what comes up, right? And this is so much fun to do with our interns because they get to learn how to scout and see the different types of natives that actually do belong here. So trout lilies, which are so majestic and magical and fun to see. We've seen May-apples come up, wood anemone, and all different types of grasses. Once we've started to remove the frag, we've had these native grasses coming up that are not nearly as aggressive, but still kind of have that same effect of that beauty of the, the grasses on the water and the wind. I've been really impressed with what's popping up. And we are like, people are reporting things all the time, which is great. So another really interesting thing that we've been trialing is adding natives to our coastline. So we have been mowing grass on our coastline for years and years and years. It's a historic landscape. That's what was there. But with the changing of the flooding, it's just not what our landscape needs. We need a tough native grass that still has that beautiful effect. You can still see over it into the water. And so what we did is we stopped mowing for a couple years just to see the types of things that would pop up. And three-square bulrush was like the main thing. It is so beautiful. We planted thousands of plugs over the years, and within days they're rooted and they're happy. And it's just been such a successful planting that I love to let people know that this is a possibility on the coastline. And so we're continuing this year after year due to budgetary reasons, just slowly adding to hopefully fulfill the whole coastline. And newcomers. So We are always scouting, always scouting. Spotted lanternfly, we saw our first 2 years ago, but last year we definitely had a bit more. We have removed all of our host trees, not that we had many, but we're still seeing some lanternfly. I would expect, and maybe one of you can answer this, when it's time to start looking for eggs. That might be something to look into. Lesser celandine. This I was familiar with at planting fields and in Nassau. And then just over the last few years, we have been seeing it pop up like crazy. We actually just put together a task force that we planned to put out once they start popping up, which are kind of starting to pop up now, to remove these because we know that they are going to be becoming aggressive. And lastly, I thought this was an interesting one to talk about. I'm not necessarily sure if it's considered invasive, but it's definitely an issue for a public space. And it's the water hemlock. It looks a bit like Queen Anne's lace. It is beautiful, but it's incredibly poisonous to touch and to ingest. Uh, so we spend a day with our interns over the summer, just being able to identify the difference of the two and to remove them safely so that our patrons are not getting hurt in any way. Uh, oh, and lastly, I just wanted to again, and I know I've been bringing this up a bunch, just say like how important it is to have young, exciting interns start every year. I think all of this work, the monitoring, the learning, all of this really helps us as an institution, but it also helps our community. So I just wanted to say thanks to our interns. We are currently hiring right now, so you're welcome to send a resume over if you would like. And that is all. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. I'm happy to talk about pretty much anything. And again, thank you to Heather for all of these gorgeous photos.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you, Joy.
Yes.
That's wonderful. You're doing great work there.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I especially love to hear about the emerging natives that you have there.
It is
The
so
trout lilies and
exciting.
Mayapples.
Yes. The May apples, we've been seeing box turtles or really tons of different turtles. Ugh, they are so cute eating those May apples. It's adorable.
Nice.
Mm.
Nice. Well, thank you. If anybody has any questions, can they email you if you want to put your email in the chat, Joy?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
Okay. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So we'll take some time to do roundtable announcements and then we'll have a 15-minute break after the announcements and we'll go on to our presentations. Please try to be brief with your announcements so that we can get to everybody a minute or two if you can. And I'll kick it off. And as you've heard, I will be retiring after 35 years in conservation. And I wanted to take a moment to thank all of you and to thank all my colleagues and partners over the years. Uh, it's been a wonderful ride, and I've gotten to do the work that I love. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm excited also to continue doing conservation work through a faith-based nonprofit called the St. Kateri Conservation Center. So you might still see me around. I'm hoping to still be active in conservation, and thank you all very much. All right, let's go around. I'll call out names. They're a little bit in alphabetical order by first name, but they're also look to be a little bit random. So first is Agnes. Agnes, do you have an update to share? And then and then Alan after Agnes.
Sure, I'll share. Thank you, Bill. So I'm the new land management ecologist over at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Shelter Rock. And currently we are doing our third year of another 100 feet into our woodland of mainly euonymus, but also English ivy, multiflora rose, wineberry, and such. So that's about it. And also, I just went scouting yesterday for the Tree of Heaven because we have quite a bunch coming up. So I'm the first person to be working on staff, on the land, on plants and ecology. So I'm excited to be there, and I welcome everyone to come visit and share any resources. Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Agnes. How do we visit? Where would we visit and how would we do that?
So the property is a 100-acre private property of the nonprofit of the congregation. We are open like 9 to 4, 9 to 3, I would say. But contacting me would be best. It is a congregation, like the gate is open, but it could be a little bit like, oh, how do you get into the woodland to take a walk through the trails?
All right, great. Thank you.
you.
All right, next is Alan, followed by Gavin. Hi, Alan. How are you?
Yeah, good morning all. And yeah, Bill, congratulations. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I work for the town of Brookhaven. We have several grant-funded projects. Starting this year, we'll be removing invasive species from West Meadow Beach. That's a 40-acre coastal forest. We'll also be removing invasives from around Swan River. That's on the South Shore. And we're organising contractors to also remove invasive species at Cedar Beach on the North Shore. Our largest project is on the South Shore. So the town stretches across the width of Long Island. Our largest project is at Mastic Beach. It's 150 odd acres where we're trying to restore the salt marsh. The dominant invasive species there is Phragmites. We're aiming to partner with the US Army Corps of Engineers, and they will chemically and mechanically remove Phragmites, and that should start in the coming years. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. Next up is Gavin, who will be followed by Hannah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Gavin Cohen. I'm the Natural Resources Manager for the Shinnecock Environmental Department out in Southampton on the tribal lands. We put a grant proposal together and submitted that to the BIA this year to hopefully do some tree of heaven removal. So we're waiting to get word back from them whether they will fund that project or not. Yeah, we very worried about the movement of spotted lanternfly moving out east. A lot of native grapes and other fruit species that are, important for food sovereignty on the nation that could be at risk. So yeah, thanks for having me here today.
Thanks, Gavin. Kay, B, and followed by Lily. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I am not a professional arborist or anything. I work teaching outdoor science programs to kids, and I somehow got on your mailing list, and I'm really glad I'm here, and I'm really glad Agnes spoke, because I showed up because the Green Sanctuary Committee at the Shelter Rock Unitarian Church is looking to remove, I just believe, invasive grass. And they want to do it by spraying Roundup on it. And it's uphill from our pond with the fish and the turtles and everything and the frogs. And I get that the groundskeeper is like, look, I'm doing this alone. I've got it one and done, 3/4 of an acre. I've got to handle this. But I'm trying to find other ways. If anyone knows of other ways to remove invasive grass, because I believe, and Agnes, you might know more about this. I can talk to you later. They want to plant like a butterfly garden or something. I have someone who would lend us tarps so that we could, like, starve out the native grass, the unnatural grass before we plant the garden. But I'm trying to find any other way than Roundup to do this, and he's kind of dead set on it. And maybe the people at this meeting all think Roundup is a good thing, and I would love to be convinced that it is, if that's, So I'm here to learn, and I'm here if anyone wants to send me their information in the chat. I'd love to hear from you if you have any solutions that we might be able to use instead of Roundup. So thank you.
All right, Kay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lily,
Hi, I'm Lily. I work as an ecologist for Nelson Pope and Voorhees. I've worked on a couple invasive species management plans since I've started here in September with Rusty Schmidt, who I believe worked heavily with LIISMA and LIISMA as well, who some of you may know. And so I just want to introduce myself and learn, and yeah.
all right. Welcome, Lily. Next up is May. Did I say it right? And that followed by Scott. May Wu. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. You're muted if you're speaking. All right, Scott P is next.
Oh, hi. So I don't have an organization or anything like that. I found your webinar online and I was interested in finding out how I can, I don't know, alert my town or something to have them remove some invasive species for me. I have an open lot grass field behind my house and the town comes and mows it. A couple trees fell down in the winter and I saw them take it down and there was English ivy around these trees. So they kind of, I don't know, disrupted where the ivy was, but now I want to go in and try to help remove it myself. But I don't know if they're going to clean up all the dead stuff that I pull out. And I was wondering if I could, who I could call to alert them about that, or maybe some volunteers could go around and clean up the English ivy all over my town.
All right, that's a good question, Scott. It's a difficult one. I guess I would begin with talking to someone at the town, whoever's maintaining that lot behind your place there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's something that they'll have to, although have to, but something that they'll be in charge of whatever they do with that. If that's their land over there, Scott.
Yeah, it's their land, but I have a gate going to the yard. I've used, when I was younger, I would play sports back there, and now I bring my dogs back there. But I've also been getting into native plants, and I kind of removed some of the grass right by my fence, and been planting some
good.
native flowers and milkweeds and stuff.
Good.
But this is more towards the other side of the field that I want to.
All right.
So
Well, good luck with that, and I'm glad to hear. We're all glad to hear you're planting native flowers too. That helps with the pollinators, the bees and the butterflies.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then last but not least is Tim Wenskis. Hi, Tim.
Hello, just a few quick updates. We have a new Forest Health staff member in New York City, so he's going to be helping us out with kudzu and stiltgrass. And we're also going to be working on calorie pear out on Staten Island this season. That's all I got.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Did we skip anyone, or maybe skip Hannah from earlier?
You did, but that's okay.
Oh,
Sorry about
Hannah.
that.
Go, Hannah. I'm sorry.
Great. It's Hannah.
You're breaking up, Hannah. I can't hear you. Oh. We can't hear Hannah. Can anybody hear her? I can't.
No,
Maybe.
I can't hear her.
Sorry about that. Is that any better or no?
That's a lot better. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll leave my video off. My computer seems to be working extra hard right now.
My name is Hannah. I also work with Lily Fowler at Nelson Pope and Voorhees as an ecologist. We're kind of stepping into Rusty's shoes as he transitions to life in the French countryside. So we're working on a few interesting projects. We have one that we helped set up out in Old Montauk using goats to help manage some invasive species. That's pretty interesting. We also have some in Nassau County. You know, our job gives us the opportunity to see a lot between public lands and privately held lands. So we're always interested to know what invasive species you guys are on the lookout for, so we can help identify those early, and hopefully stop the spread, stop, you know, the large impact that we know a lot of these invasives have on our landscape.
And thanks, Hannah. That's an exciting project out in Montauk, especially with the goats.
It
So we're-
is. I'm so interested now that I know about them, now that I have a better idea of how they work as management. I am so interested to start recommending them and really see how they tackle some of these harder invasive species that we have a difficult time with.
Yeah, but please keep us in the loop. I know we worked with
Definitely.
Rusty on that for a little bit, and but we'd love to see how it turns out.
Definitely. We
She
will
got 'em.
let you know as we move along.
All right, thanks, Hannah.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? All right, so it's almost 10:45. It is 10:45. We're right on time, right to the minute. We don't mess around here, but that's not always the case. But so we'll come back at 11 to begin our presentations. So I'll see you in 15 minutes.